What is going on, guys? It is MurderInc here, back with yes another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today I'm doing my follow-up to probably the most hyped video that I've personally seen in the raid scene in a very long time. So I know I dropped that crazy turn meter enigma cracked video. Half the people were left confused. And I wouldn't say I necessarily dropped it intentionally to confuse you. However, I purposely gave you that small amount of information leading up to this video, and you will see exactly why when we get further in. Let me give you a quick rundown on what I'm going to do. So the reason why I didn't go too much into detail in the last video is because if you've ever watched me, you know I like giving credit where it's deserved. I showed the names on the screen of the people who put in a lot of effort into making this team possible, as well as the discovery of the turn meter. I wanted to get one person specifically directly involved with this video, one of the people behind making all of this happen. So after I get him on here, we'll explain the interactions of the turn meter, how you can use it for your success, and how it applies to the clan boss team that I'm going to show you today. I'm going to reveal the speeds of all of the champions I have, their stats, their gear. I'm going to show you a run, the final damage that's going to blow your mind for a speed team. And then I'm going to leave you with a cliffhanger that I promise you is going to be well worth the wait for the next video. I'm going to show you what it would be like to use a counterattack in this 2-to-1 ratio speed, guiding that counterattack champion to always have counterattack up for both AoEs. And I'm going to show you the damage recap that I've gotten so far in my early testing and gearing, and your mind's going to be blown. So really excited to show you that. Definitely make sure you watch all the way through so you can really soak up all this information and make sure you're fully understanding it so you can apply this to many aspects of the game to help you improve everywhere. So without wasting any time, let me direct you to DeadwoodJedi, and let's hear what he has to offer on this topic of the 2-to-1 ratio clan boss team, as well as just how this turn meter can work for you.
Welcome. I'm the Deadwood Jedi, and thank you, MurderInc, for that wonderful introduction. So I know I'm on here to talk about this speed composition, as well as talking about turn meter and speed in general. So first thing I'd like to say is this speed turn meter length that we've come up with. It comes from the work of Napoleon Camembert and others that have worked with him. I was able to help confirm that a little bit for him, but it's really his genius that came up with that. But that number, that 1428 and change, is going to be super helpful for us in all aspects of the game. It's going to be really helpful in Arena. It's going to be very helpful in the dungeons. And it's crucial for a composition like this in Clan Boss. Now, the reason why it's so important is we're going to know exactly how many ticks the Clan Boss needs to take before he fills his turn meter. The way we know how many ticks it's going to take for the Clan Boss to fill its turn meter is we know the length of the turn meter, 1428 and change. And we know the speed of the Clan Boss, 190. So we know if we do a little bit of math there, it's going to take 428 divided by 190. It's going to take him 7.5 turns, 7.5 ticks. So it's going to take him 8 ticks to get over that number. And that's the important part. So we know there's 8 ticks between now and the time that the Clan Boss actually has a chance to take their turn. And that's really important for this kind of composition. But it's also useful and important for things like dungeons. If we know how many ticks it's going to take a dungeon boss to take their turn, we can use that, especially using our own speed in conjunction with that and the full length of the turn meter, to figure out how many ticks we need to go once, twice, maybe even 3 times before the dungeon champ or the dungeon boss takes their first turn. So these are all things that I think can be really applicable across the spectrum. But back to the Clan Boss. So it's going to take him 8 ticks at a speed of 190, Ultimate Nightmare, and a turn meter length of 1428. It's going to take him 7.5, so 8 ticks of turns for him to fill that turn meter. That means in that time, we need as many of our champions to take their turn and go a second time before the Clan Boss goes. And then we need the remaining champions to be able to go fast enough so that they are filling their turn meter faster than the Clan Boss and outpacing him. If we can do that, then we have this amazing incredible speed tune. This is what I call the white whale. A 2-to-1 speed ratio is something I never thought I would have ever happen. I've been dreaming about this for months, and I'm pretty shocked that we actually made it happen. And if we can keep a tune like this at this speed, and more importantly, keep it constant and keep it consistent so that we can predict when each attack is happening, each skill is going up, and how to mitigate all the damage because we're putting up our protections in time with what the clan boss is doing. I don't know that there is necessarily a better composition, at least speed-wise, than this one. Obviously, there's different champions out there, and I'm sure there's ways to make this style of a speed composition with other champs. But I am super impressed with MurderInc because what he has done with the damage in this is more than I thought would be possible.
Alright guys, so now that we went over that awesome breakdown by DeadwoodJedi, let's get right into the champions, their stats that I have, the speeds that I had, and let's start out with our leader, Duchess Lilitu. Really quickly, I'm going to click on all of their gear and pretty much show you the stats that I'm working on for this champion. I'll also obviously show you the total stats she has. Keep in mind, all of these stats are definitely way above and beyond what you would ever need to replicate this composition. This is also for what's going to lead into my next video, so don't be too discouraged by seeing stats like 5700 defense. You do not need stats that are this extreme. What you do need is to look at 192 speed. So I'm pretty much simply going to be going over the speed here and letting you pretty much scan over the rest of these stats here. Looking at the masteries, basic War Master, defense tree, this is going to be for everybody and you're not going to take Lore of Steel on anybody. So make sure when gearing these champions, as I move into Alta next and go through the gear, you have the same amount of speed sets that I have. I recommend using Stalwart gear if you have it. If you don't, you can definitely use another gear set. You probably won't live as long as I'm going to live in this composition. You're still going to get an incredible result from the damage that you're looking for. So the next champion is Alton. He is at 208 speed. Once again, in the masteries, offense and defense tree, we are not running Lore of Steel. Next champion we're going to go over is Tyrant. As we can see, offense and defense tree again. I'm not going to go over the other two masteries because they're all offense and defense and it's kind of overkill, so keep that in mind so there's no confusion there as far as what masteries for these champions. Scanning through his gear really quickly, if you are going to use an ally protect champion, whether it's someone like a Chris, you're definitely going to want to focus more on the health and defense side of these champions to make sure you're hitting all of the necessary defensive requirements to allow your team to survive into the later rounds. So the speed for Tyrant is one of the higher ones. We're coming in at 231 speed for Tyrant. This can definitely be a little bit difficult for some people, but this definitely isn't something equivalent to like the Maneater team where it's 250, or the Rush Card, the Tower, and Skull Crusher team where you need 240 speed. So I think that's a pretty realistic speed for people to hit if they do have the Duchess Lilitu or any other speed aura. The next champion we have on our list is, as you can probably assume, our lovely Dracomorph. He is not wearing a 2-piece speed set, so that is definitely something to consider when going forward. The speed for this champion is the slowest of all and may shock some of you, but 177 speed. So just think about how mind-blowing that is, that a composition of players going 2 times to 1 time on the clan boss has a speed as low as 177. Now the next champion we have here is My Salad, aka Mashald. Going over his gear really quickly, he is another champion wearing 1 set of speed and stalwart gear. So once again, keep that 1 speed set in mind when trying to replicate this, as this is another champion with higher speed in this comp, coming in at 234, and these speeds are the most important to keep exactly identical when trying to replicate this team comp. Alright, now that we've gone over their stats, let's go over how to set up this team. You're going to start with Mashald using his speed buff. He's going to get an extra turn, then he's going to use his A3. From here you can drop Tyrant's HP burn. Hopefully it doesn't get resisted like mine did. We'll just use the A1 there. A1 on Duchess. Dracomorph is going to defense down and weaken. Then the clan boss is going to take his turn. You're going to A1 with Mashald. Next, you're going to A1 with Tyrant. Then you're going to use another A1 from Alton. Cycling through an A1 also from Duchess. You're going to poison with Dracomorph. Obviously, what I'm going through is very specific to the champions I'm using. So just take that into consideration that the only thing that's mattered so far is Mashald using a speed buff, and then the rest of the champions have been filling. Now this is the important part. On the second turn, you're going to use any major cooldown you want, covering both AoEs. So that's something very important to keep in mind. We're going to use the defense up and ally protection here. We're going to use an A1 from Alton. We're going to use an A1 from Duchess, and now we're going to hit auto and watch this team run. So what's going to happen here, this team is slowly going to sink on this cycle to where it's slowly going to reach the point to be able to go 2 turns to 1 clan boss turn. Now the return on this, it does not take very long, so you're not wasting too many turns. Once the turn count reaches 9, we will be in full cycle, and then I'm going to take it to 1x speed and pretty much show you how all of this works. One major thing to look at, in case you're wondering, Duchess will not always block the stun. She will be soaking the stun, and if you know how the stun works, it does damage based on your health, so you're definitely going to want to stack as much defense as possible, not necessarily neglecting the health, but definitely keeping defense more in mind when gearing Duchess Lilitu for this team composition. Okay, so as we can see here, we are on turn 8. We are about to hit turn 9. So now I'm going to put it on 1x speed. Draco goes once. We have Duchess Lilitu going once. Alton's going once. We have Mashald getting the extra turn. Now Tyrant's going to go. Now Draco for his second turn. Duchess for her second turn. Followed by Alton again. Mashald. And finally, Tyrant Ixlamore. This is the beauty that is known, as DeadwoodJedi said, the white whale. Just an amazing team composition, pretty much pushing the limits of the speed team. And as mentioned before, you don't need a team of all legendaries. I'm going to make another video down the line giving you a more free-to-play friendly version of champions you can use to use this to your success. One of the major things about any speed team, even a counterattack team, is making sure that your attack down lands. So one huge benefit to this that you might not realize at first glance is you're giving your attack down champion many more turns, giving them the opportunity to keep applying that attack down buff once it's on the boss. So if anyone's ever had that really disappointing key where you're doing 25 million damage per key in Ultra Nightmare, but you have that very bad luck every once in a while where your key can actually drop to as low as 15 million, 16 million. No one likes coming back if you stepped away after hitting auto to see such an early run. And this lowers the chances of that attack down dropping significantly since you're getting so many extra turns. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let this run and I will check back in with you guys once we get to the results page. Alright guys, so as you can see, this has become the king speed comp. Now there are other speed comps for sure. Most of them are using a counterattack. If you guys know of a speed team that does more damage than this, definitely let me know. And the team obviously has to be without a counterattack. So this has become the new meta for speed teams. Now, obviously, I'm using 5 legendaries like I've already mentioned a few times, but the potential on this is just absolutely insane. So once I go and start showing you other options you have for champions, this should improve the quality of every single speed team, and you should no longer feel bad for not having a counterattack. Now, one thing that I didn't mention that makes this truly incredible is Duchess Lilitu obviously has a revive. Now, her reviving a champion actually doesn't throw off the speed tune on this type of team after the first revive of your champion. So using someone like Tyrant, or if you decide to use any other champion like Jareg, who has an ally protection, they take so much damage, they are usually the champion to die first. Tyrant Ixlamore did die in this run, probably about 2 or 3 minutes ago, and he was revived and the team just kept on rolling. He ended up dying because of an unlucky crit. This comp is so complete with the character composition that I have here that Duchess can actually make up for any bad luck once again on top of the extra turns for the attack down that I already mentioned, and keep this team running. So as we can see, an incredible 51.88 million damage out of this team, 5.2 from Duchess, 8.5 million from Mashald, 11 million from Alton, 18 million from Dracomorph, and 9 million from Tyrant Ixlamore. So this is, once again, just an awesome team. There's no lifesteal. This is also highlighting a leech team, which is absolutely incredible. So now, before we get into what's next, what question are you thinking in your head right now? I already know the answer. Murder, why are you giving us another team that's only going to work on Void? Let me stop you right there. I would never let you down like that. On top of bringing DeadwoodJedi onto this channel, I definitely want to give you guys all of the tools you need for continued success in this game as far as Clan Boss. Clan Boss is a very popular part of this game. As you know, I love it, and a lot of people are extremely interested in it. So what we're going to do is, this team works with Sepulture Sentinel if you have her, and if you do have her, you can use her, and this team will work in any single affinity, as long as you bring smart champions. If you do decide to replace Draco with Razin, add a poisoner to the team, something along those lines. I'm not here to let you down. What I'm going to do is, DeadwoodJedi is going to make a YouTube video on how to add Sepulture Sentinel into this specific team with 4 other champions that I have and their exact speeds. He's going to show you exactly how to input Sepulture into this team based on his calculator on his website. With his video, you are going to be set with all of your clan boss needs in using this calculator to make literally any team you want from here on out. Doesn't matter if you're trying to replicate this team, if you want to make a double man-eater team, he's going to give you all of the tools you need for your continued success. And I couldn't be happier with sending you all there to round out this video so you can learn how to make this work for all affinities by adding Sepulture. Alright team, now the moment we've all been waiting for. Murder, what is this reveal? You see it on the screen. What happens if I add a counterattack champion to this white whale composition? Now I'm using Valkyrie. You definitely should have expected that I would use Valkyrie to get the maximum results here. As you can see, 75 million damage in an Ultra Nightmare key, and this didn't even last 50 rounds. Try to imagine that in your head. That much damage came out of this team in under 50 rounds. So technically this is a 3-to-1 turn on the clan boss because we're adding this counterattack here. This was done in the gold arena, so I didn't have the platinum rewards, and a lot of these champions don't have their gear glyphs, so I'm definitely going to work on faction wars, get some glyphs on them, and let's just set a record. Maybe we'll go a little bit over 50 turns, but I'm going to do my best to make this as efficient as possible and not make us go too many rounds to show you that this is truly worthy of being the best key in the game. I'm not really sure on the spectrum where this sits as far as how good of RNG this specific key was, but I'm really excited to see what the high end of potential for this team is. If you were with me on Twitch, you watched me test this and slowly tweak the team. I tweaked it a little more. I had quite a few keys that consistently landed on 72 million. I ended up making one final tweak to this team that pushed this all the way to 75. I do have to finish Masteries on Alton, which is definitely going to increase this damage. So I'm really excited about the next video to go over this team specifically and how a counterattack can work in a composition like this. Don't forget, if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss the next video I do where I showcase this amazing team. That's it for me. I hope you enjoyed all of this information, and I look forward to seeing you in that next video.